Have you ever wanted someone more, only after realizing someone else wanted them too? It's a feeling you're ashamed to admit, like your desire was never truly yours, that you only noticed her once another man's gaze lit her up. It's subtle, but powerful. A glance, a laugh, a moment where you realize you're not chasing her. You're chasing what she symbolizes in someone else's eyes. And it haunts you. Because deep down, it makes you wonder, do I even know what I want? Or have I always needed someone else to want it first? That's when René Girard's truth hits like a blow to the ego. We desire according to the desire of the other. Not because we're weak, but because we're human. We look to others to tell us what's valuable, and that includes who to love. It's not about her smile or her soul. It's about who else is watching her, who else finds her desirable. And in that mirror of imitation, we lose something vital: the clarity of our own desire. That's why men fail to trigger female attraction. Not because they're unattractive, but because they lack sovereignty. They signal desperation instead of magnetism, mimicry instead of mystery. She sees it instantly. He doesn't want her. He wants the validation her attention represents. And when a man places her on that pedestal, not as a woman, but as a trophy of male competition, she walks away. Not because she's cruel, but because she doesn't feel chosen. She feels used as a prop. Desire is contagious, but it can also be hollow. You think you're building connection, but you're building performance. You believe you're chasing her, but you're chasing a role in someone else's story. She doesn't want to be the prize in your game. She wants to feel like a person, not a reaction to your need. And here's the brutal paradox. The more you pursue her to feel like someone, the more invisible you become in her eyes. Because real desire isn't about possession, it's about presence. But presence requires detachment. The kind of quiet confidence that doesn't need her to want you back for you to feel whole. And that, ironically, is the only energy she's drawn to. So, why do most men fail at this? Because they're trapped in a loop of imitative desire. They look around at who other men desire, and they copy. They see the girl every man wants, and suddenly, they want her too. Not because she's right for them, but because they want to matter. Desire becomes status, and she becomes a ladder. But women feel this, intuitively. She knows when she's being pursued as a symbol instead of seen as a soul. And when that happens, something dies between you. Something sacred. The possibility of intimacy. Because intimacy requires risk. Vulnerability, not imitation. And most men are terrified of being truly seen. So instead of opening themselves, they imitate others, hoping that if they play the right part, desire will follow. But imitated desire is thin. It doesn't last. It doesn't root itself in depth. It's an echo, not a voice. Have you ever chased a woman who didn't want you, only to lose interest the moment she did? That wasn't love. That was a script playing out. The script of needing her interest to feel alive. And that's the wound. Not that she didn't choose you, but that you needed her to feel like you existed at all. She's not rejecting you. She's rejecting the need beneath your gaze, the emptiness you're trying to fill through her. You feel that, don't you? That hollowness. That whisper that says, if she chooses me, I'll finally be enough. Tell me in the comments if you felt this. I want to hear your pain, not to judge it, but to witness it. Because that's how healing begins. So many men confuse being chosen with being worthy, as if her attention has the power to define you, as if her desire is a mirror that finally proves you exist. But here's the problem. When your sense of self depends on being desired, you're no longer a man. You're a reflection. You become reactive, desperate, empty. You wait to be seen instead of seeing. You wait to be picked instead of standing still in your own presence. And she feels it. Because women don't desire what's needy, they desire what's sovereign. René Girard didn't just describe desire, he revealed its structure, its DNA. We don't desire directly. We desire through others, through signals, through triangulation. And so do women. That's why confidence is magnetic. It signals that your desire is not reactive, that it's anchored, that you're not choosing her because others want her. You're choosing her despite that, or even because it doesn't matter. And this is rare, because most men don't know what they want. They only know what they're supposed to want. The girl with the perfect look, the one with followers, the one who makes other men jealous. But if you strip that away, would you still want her? Would you still chase her if no one else found her desirable? If not, your desire isn't yours. It's borrowed, imitated, hollow. And women know the difference. She knows when you're drawn to her essence versus her image. One makes her feel safe. The other makes her feel like bait. And men complain that women choose the wrong guys. The confident ones. The ones who don't care. The ones who aren't nice. But they miss the real point. Women aren't rejecting kindness. They're rejecting men who don't own their desire. Men who ask for permission to feel. Who outsource their worth to her approval. You think you're being respectful, but it feels like pressure. You think you're being loving, but it feels like fear. Because when you don't know who you are without her, she becomes responsible for your identity. And that's too heavy for anyone to carry. She doesn't want to mother your self-worth. She wants to feel your presence, your clarity, your stillness. Desire, at its core, is not about taking. It's about offering. Offering your depth, your stability, your vision. And most men never get there, because they never peel back the layers of imitation. They live their whole lives chasing symbols of value instead of creating value from within. They think attraction is strategy, that if they say the right thing, wear the right shirt, mimic the right alpha, they'll finally be wanted. But what women want isn't imitation. It's embodiment. Not the man who plays the role. The man who is the role. Because when your desire is pure, when it isn't polluted by mimicry or insecurity, it becomes rare. It becomes sacred. And that's when she feels safe to open. Because you're not pulling her in to complete you. You're inviting her in to join you. There's no fear in that. No pressure. No hidden need. Just presence. And from presence, intimacy is born. But you weren't taught this. You were taught that desire is a game, a hunt, a transaction, that you need to win her over, impress her, prove yourself worthy of being loved. So you perform. You mirror what you think she wants. You become agreeable, polished, strategic, and slowly, without noticing, you disappear. The real you, the wild you, the broken, searching, burning, masculine you. He's gone, replaced by an echo, and she feels that too. Because imitation has a texture, a taste. It smells like fear and sounds like hesitation. And no woman desires what feels hesitant. She may entertain it, use it, even feel flattered by it, but she will not surrender to it. Because surrender requires trust. And no one trusts a man who's not anchored in himself. This is the tragedy of the modern man. He's more liked than he is desired. He's safe, but not dangerous. Polite, but not powerful. Present, but not alive. He keeps asking, what do women want? When the deeper question is, do you even know what you want? Because if you don't, then how can she feel your desire is real? Imitative desire isn't just about women following women. It's also about men following each other. Wanting the girl because she's the type, because she's admired, because she validates your status. And so your desire becomes competition, not connection. But when your desire comes from soul, from knowing, it stops being noisy. It stops chasing. It starts attracting. Because you're not needing her to complete you. You're needing her to recognize you. And that's a different kind of fire. She's not drawn to your status. She's drawn to your stillness, to your mystery, to the way you look at her without flinching, to the way you desire her without flattery or fear. She doesn't want to be worshipped. She wants to be seen, and you can only see her when you stop projecting onto her, when you stop seeing her as a prize and start seeing her as a person, with her own mirror, her own chaos, her own longing. But here's the paradox. The more you need to be desired, the less desirable you become. Because you've turned her gaze into your oxygen, and nobody wants to mother a man gasping for approval. You want to be magnetic? Stop reaching. Start resting. Start standing. Start burning without apology. She wants to feel your fire, not to warm herself by it, but to know that she's not alone in her own. Because the masculine awakens the feminine not by controlling her, but by inviting her. And you can't invite her anywhere if you don't even know where you stand. You want a real woman. Then become a real man, not a strategy, not a persona, not a mimic. A man who desires with clarity, who stands with gravity, who burns with purpose. Because female desire, as Girard revealed, is not born in a vacuum. It reflects, it responds, it imitates. And when she sees that you are not imitating, she wakes up to herself, to you, to a desire that is no longer performative, but embodied. But most men never reach that point. They stay stuck in performance. They date for approval. They flirt to be validated. They love to be loved back. They become puppets, and then wonder why no woman looks at them with hunger. Because hunger doesn't follow perfection. It follows truth. And the truth is this: female desire isn't yours to manipulate. It isn't a button to press. It's a mirror. And that mirror reflects your own inner posture, not your words, not your image, not your tactics, but your essence. The energy you carry when no one is watching. That's what shapes how she sees you, and even deeper, what she desires in you. So stop looking at her reactions as gospel. Stop asking what she wants. Start asking what part of you has been hiding. What have you silenced to be loved? What have you denied in order to be chosen? Because as long as you live trying to become the man who wins, you will never become the man who is. And that man, the one who doesn't try, is the one she imitates. Not because he forces her, but because she recognizes something ancient in him. A man who doesn't compete. A man who doesn't beg. A man who doesn't chase shadows. A man who walks into the room and doesn't need to be noticed because he notices himself. And that noticing is infectious. That self-possession is erotic. That grounded silence is louder than 1,000 lines. So let this sink in. You don't attract her by being perfect. You attract her by being real. You don't spark her desire by trying to please. You spark it by standing in your truth. Even if it means standing alone. Because when a man stops imitating others, something shifts. His voice deepens. His eyes sharpen. His presence becomes undeniable. And that's when female desire finds him. Not because he followed a formula, but because he broke one. Because he saw through the illusion. Because he remembered what Girard meant when he said, "We desire according to the desire of the other." And in that remembering, he chose something radical. To be the origin, not the echo. To desire without needing. To lead without forcing. To love without losing himself. So if this spoke to you, if you felt your own reflection in these words, I want you to tell me. What part hit deepest? What truth do you avoid in your relationships? I read every comment, and I want to hear your story, your pain, your shift. And if this made sense, if it touched something no one talks about, then subscribe. We're building something rare here, a place where men wake up, not with tricks, but with truth. Stay close. We've only just begun.